This is Steve Zeltzer with KPFK, and KPFK covered the Screen Actors strike and the Writers Guild strike. And while I was on the picket line, I met Steve Martini, who is one of the strikers, and he's recently produced a film which we're going to talk about. But welcome back, Steve, and good seeing you again.
You too, Steve. Great seeing you again.
So, since the strike, you've been working and producing, and you've got a new film you've come out with. Why don't you talk about it and why it's relevant to our life today?
Well, yeah. So I wrote and directed and star in this film called Bittersweet, and it is a feature film. I'd call it a dramedy of sorts. It's about new parents struggling in the system that we live in, and the main character is a character named Sam, and I play Sam, and he gets kicked out of his house early in the story, and must then traverse a Kafka-esque legal system, which sees him as a bad guy, but he must convince them that he's not a bad guy in order to get back home to his house and be with his family, especially his he's got a newborn kid who's about almost a year old, and he's going to walk for the first time. So he just wants to get home and see his son walk and be with his love, and all the things that he has to go through in order to get there are exacerbated by the fact that he is on the autism spectrum. So he's not what people would consider the most straight and narrow kind of guy. He does things that make things worse for himself, and part of the story is that the system doesn't treat him any differently because of his mental conditions. In fact, they probably treat him worse. So um you know I think that I learned that there's a whole rite of passage almost of families who are introduced to the system that we have, our legal system. There's these, I guess they're government programs. So it's the Department of Child and Family Services and Child Protection Services. They have all of these noble intentions to help those people who need the most help. But just like we were talking before about what is considered overreach and what is considered, breaking personal boundaries, when social workers can knock on your door and, pull you out of your house and take you away from your family at any time.
And the issue of autism is also come up in relationship to police murders. Police see people who have autism or have disabilities, and they basically use violent means against them. And in your film, he's actually attacked as a criminal, which ends up going into the whole court system, the morass of the court system, and bankrupting him. He's living in 100 feet away in a box. I mean, there are a lot of people who are living in boxes, unfortunately, more and more.
I know, dude. It was crazy how many people I've met that have gone through this. So, that's why I knew I had to tell this story because it really hasn't been told.
And, this is actually going to be exacerbated with all the budget cuts that are taking place. And, basically the protection for people is being eliminated. People are left on their own. And the, the people want to do the right thing, it seems in your film. You talk about that, but it's a problem.
It's hard to, it's not always easy to know, to be able to assess what the right thing is for each situation. There's no broad general panacea to solve all of these things. So that's always the difficulty and the nuance of these things. And so yeah, I just knew that I wanted to tell a story because I haven't seen anything in this world before. And I do believe that I didn't want to make the system itself, especially the intentions of the social workers. They're not like the bad guys. It's an antagonistic relationship, but it's very clear in the movie, for me anyway, as the writer. It's like you don't really have a bad guy in this situation, because everybody's trying to do what's right.
How long did this movie take to make?
We shot it's an indie film that once I decided that we were going to make it ourselves, we had some interest from like a producer who was at Netflix and stuff. But I've been around the block a few times. The minute they start, the minute somebody else gets involved, it slowly but surely gets taken away from you. Um, so I knew that we wanted to do it ourselves. It took some time, because I wrote it to roll out of my bed in my house and shoot it on our iPhone, and like anything with filmmaking, as soon as you say you're going to do something, a million things get in your way to try and stop you from doing it. So even though I wrote it to shoot in my house, the landlord kicked us out of the house. So we had to regroup for another year to find a new place, and then we had to rent a house, and uh, and then we
That's a
didn't
whole
have.
story in itself, you know.
Believe me, we didn't have all the money at once, so we had to shoot it basically like 5 or 6 different shooting blocks over the course of a few years. And if you saw, so you saw the movie that the baby, the kid in the story, part of the plot is he's going to walk for the first time, and this kid, fortunately for us, he was a preemie, and he took a while to learn how to walk, so we kind of had to wait for him to walk. And I knew that if we didn't capture that on screen, that moment, it's hard to really sell the emotion of the movie. So it had to be just right. And with art and these things, I think there's a timing that comes out. It has a natural, it's like wine. It takes time for these things to really shape up. So this one took a few years, but happily so, because when it's your thing, you really want to nurture it as long as possible.
And it's going to be released.
Yeah, so we're coming out in Los Angeles, June 10th at Lemley Theaters. I can get you guys a link or whatever. Yeah, I think it'll be out from June 10th to the 19th, unless if it keeps going, great. We might go to other cities, but in LA, yeah, it's those Lemley theaters, and to go on to streaming and TVOD and AVOD and all that stuff over the summer at some point. Which I'll let you know when that is. I think maybe July 11th or something.
And since the strike, and that was a very important strike, one of the most significant with the Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild together around the issue of AI, what's happened since that strike?
Oh God, Steve, what has happened? Oof. All the things that I was worried about, all the things, all the things you could see a mile away coming. Um, there's been work has been very scarce for a lot of people. The industry contracted. Um, AI is a real, I mean, I see it every day. My eyes are just blown away by what I'm looking at. Some people, I think, have their heads in the sand about it, and you know, uh, but I got to say, I'm happy that we at the Writers Guild stood up with some dignity for our humanity when we had the chance to stand up and at least set a precedent for the situation, particularly for writers. When you go into a room and somebody, a studio executive or somebody, just hands you something that a computer made, and say that they want this thing to be the movie. The writers now we have a choice. We have it's our discretion, so we do not have to do what the computer says. So at least we stood up. Do I think in real life the reality will that be implemented? That's we know how hard it is to execute these things once they actually become a policy or whatever.
Well, with robotics and the use of AI, generative AI, to have figures, to use voices, to have people in films. It seems like, as what you and others said, it was an existential struggle around
It
AI. It is still facing you and other workers. I mean, Teamsters, all kinds of workers. They want to have automatic trucks, autonomous trucks in California, getting rid of millions of drivers. I mean, it seems like it's not going away. It's actually enveloping it, and they want to deregulate. In fact, there's a clause in the great beautiful bill that would prevent states from having any regulation of AI for 10 years.
I do not. That is, did it go through?
No, well, that's the big beautiful bill they're having a fight over. Musk is attacking Trump around, and it's still up there. But I mean, this issue of AI and how it's affecting working people, writers, how it's affecting all workers in this country in healthcare and education. It seems like it's a really critical struggle, and it's affecting everyone.
Yeah, and again, for my particular business, entertainment, like it's just like, Steve, come on, what's going to stop somebody? They have to spend a fraction of the cost to use AI. Like they're not going to want to spend the money on human beings doing the work, bringing their energy to the set, which is the best part about making movies. And it's a lot of moving parts, and it's a lot of coordination. And I again, I'm trying to use my rational brain, and I just don't see any reason why anybody's going to want to spend, the whole system that we built up for 100+ years of making movies is such a, it really worked a certain way. Like people were able to make money. And I came, at the tail end of that. I was able to, have a decent life for myself in this industry, you know, just being a regular person without having any kind of like fame or whatever that stuff, just being a craftsman in this industry used to be able to make a decent living, and now it's just like it's scary, man. There's so many amazing, talented people out there that are that just can't get work, and there's not going to be any more work. It's gonna like when you can break a shoot in half. It used to take 20, 30 days. Now it's gonna take what, 10 days, and the rest will be AI, to fill in all the spots, and who knows how it's gonna go. But I'm happy we were able to fight and at least stand up for ourselves, even as the maelstrom is coming at us. I don't know how we're going to get out of it, because there's so many people I see who are not in the business who tend to use AI right now, just in general, for the general life, to make their lives easier, to organize things. And so, like, and I understand that. I just don't, why are they going to be any sort of they're not going to be prejudiced against an AI movie if they use AI in their life. Like, and I don't think the next generation is even, they're going to be raised on this stuff like it's cartoons. They're not going to know the difference. So like, I don't know where like, yeah, I don't know how we can convince people to care about other people who are not going to be working. It's just,
Except, well, I mean, all kinds of workers, checkers are being put out of work at groceries. Uh,
that's even worse. It's like, come on, like, Jesus. It's, I don't know why they couldn't use AI to do things that, like, like really could help us, as opposed to the things that are just taking away our humanity.
well, I mean, the Goldman Sachs has said they're going to get rid of 350 million workers using AI. Uh, and yet the work week is not getting shorter. Workers have to work two, three jobs, the gig economy. People are struggling to survive.
Don't
So
they know? Don't they account that this is a huge pressure point, that people are just going to be more agitated, and there's not going to be anything to back them up? And when you have no jobs, and I mean, that's crazy. Don't they know what's going to happen after that? There's no backup plan. There's got to be, like, why, like I guess the monetary system has to change. Like AI itself is going to become money. What are we going to 3D print coins out of our freaking garages? Like what? Yeah, I don't know, man. It's like wild times.
So the industry is in very bad shape. A lot of workers aren't working. They cut back. And what do you think of these tax subsidies? They think if they give them tax subsidies, it's going to bring more work. It seems like giving more tax subsidies when actually the people who are making profits are being made in the industry.
Yeah, I know, man. I mean, I prefer, if you were to put a gun to my head, I prefer tax subsidies over tariffs. You know what I mean? Like, I think the subsidies are a better way to incentivize things, right? Yeah, but it is the truth of the matter, especially for me as an indie filmmaker. On the bottom end, you still get screwed. So it's like, the big wigs still usually end up taking the prize of those, incentives. But it's better than nothing, right? Which
But
is,
isn't it possible for the people who make films the film workers, the writers, the people who are involved in films to run their own industry. I mean, right now, I mean, it's if, you can broadcast, you can get it out globally, and also YouTube. I mean, people are producing things on YouTube, but of course, they're non-union without any of the protections that unions have. But wouldn't it be better if the workers who actually produce films and art in the movies ran the movie industry?
100%. 100%. You wish that people would go up for those jobs and these, I guess it's going up for these corporate jobs to become an executive or become it's like why I don't know why artists don't really want to go into that realm for some reason. Maybe that when you're older and you're wiser and slower, you can kind of graduate to that. I don't know. Maybe the young artists don't have the wherewithal. Although I've been hearing that these YouTubers are really getting now. The studios are eyeing them for because they don't the studios have no idea how to find an audience, and like you said, the people who are doing it themselves are finding it. It's just there's no way around the obvious elephant in the room, which is we the only way to do this is still technology. We're still beholden to whatever the tech bro inventions here. So it's like even if we take the power in our own hands, there's still going to be a monolith like a YouTube, you know that's going to just be, I mean, that's just a fact. Like I don't know a way around it yet. I don't know what it is, the answer.
Okay, well, I want to thank you for joining us, and I think your video is quite interesting. It's in good production, and it's amazing what you can do as an independent filmmaker.
Well, yeah, you can make a full feature film and with heart and soul, and tell a story that shines a light on issues and stuff that people don't really get to experience, and that's why I'm excited to get my film out there. Really excited.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us. Good seeing you again, Steve.
Thank you. See you, Steve.
Okay.